Hello everyone, and welcome to Galaxy 89 Cars. Today, thanks to EV Hire, I'm bringing you an in-depth exterior and interior tour and startup video of a 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing that's part of the EV Hire chauffeur-driven hire selection. The 300 SL Gullwing is based on the W194 Mercedes-Benz race car that took part in the 1952 sports car racing season, including participation in the Le Mans 24 Hours, which it later won. The car gets its name from its distinctive arching doors, and was adapted to road use after the USA's main dealer at the time, Max Hoffman, suggested the W194 would work well as a road car. After a very successful test of 500 models, the car was put into extended production, 1,400 coupes and 1858 roadsters. The coupes are constructed mainly of steel with some aluminium components. However, 29 all-aluminium cars were produced that now command a significant premium. The standard cars come in with a dry weight of 1,300 kilograms and overall length of 4,515 millimeters. Before we can view the engine, we must go into the driver's side and pull the lever found below and to the left of the steering wheel. This is also called a Tommy handle. A small latch then needs to be depressed before the bonnet can be lifted up and secured by the self-securing stand. This needs to be depressed to enable the bonnet to be lowered. As seen here, the bonnet folds into the engine bay rather than hinging directly up. The underside of the bonnet is coated in heat-resisting paint and comes with a brace at the top to enhance rigidity. The 300 SL is rear-wheel drive and is powered by a front-mounted 3-litre naturally aspirated inline-6. One very important factor to note about this engine, before we move to power output, is how Mercedes championed the use of direct fuel injection systems, rather than the carburetors that were found in its predecessors and its competition. The new Bosch mechanical fuel injection system replaced the Solix carburetors, raising the car's bhp from 175 to 215, with approximately 260 Nm of torque. This output results in a 0 to 62 mph or 100 km/h time of 8.8 seconds, and a top speed of 135 mph. However, this early system was not without its faults. The system required a large oil sump, 2.2 gallons to be precise, which meant the oil would rarely reach sufficient operating temperature. This unfortunately meant the car needed a full oil change every 1,000 miles with old oil. This car is sitting on 15-inch front and rear chromed alloy wheels with built-in ventilation for the brakes. Stability is provided by wishbones and coil springs at the front, and high pivot swing axles at the rear that were reportedly fitted for comfort rather than a performance-orientated driving feel. As a result, the 300 SL's handling has been criticised. Braking power in this car is provided by 280mm drum brakes each corner, although the factory changed to discs from 1961. Now we've finished the model overview, we can move to the exterior in-depth tour from front to back. The 300 SL has an undeniably elegant and sophisticated aesthetic. At the front, we start with the chromed bumper, a very typical aesthetic of the time. It embodies the flowing lines of the rest of the car and curves gracefully around the front arches. Above, we find the gaping central air intake split by two chrome components that extend outwards from the Mercedes-Benz TriStar. Laterally, we first find the small indicators, and above, the main single bulb lights encircled by more chrome. The raised sections found here on either side are not found in the W194 race car and were designed specifically for the road car. In fact, the 300 SL has a significantly more flat and pinched front section than its track-going predecessor. At the end of the bonnet, we find this grille to help demist and streamline air over the glass behind. There are also two small windscreen wipers. The relatively small, curved windscreen behind sits quite upright. This is carried over from the W194 and has since been flattened out and enlarged quite significantly in the 300 SL's modern successors. Moving down and laterally, these horizontal strips were actually fitted as a purposeful early attempt of creating a more aerodynamically efficient design, by smoothing the sides of the car, thus aiming to smooth airflow. Sitting on top of the front arches, and not by the pillars, are these small chrome wing mirrors. These were not on the W194, but were required on the 300 SL road car. Moving back down, there are several interesting sections to note. The first are the chrome side skirts that run the length of the side. Then we find the iconic lateral air vents or gills on each side that were not features on the W194. They are capable of releasing quite a significant amount of air, as you can see, and have now become an iconic part of this car and have also inspired design elements in its successors. Below we find a small hole which is actually for the mechanical jack. Just above we find Mercedes-Benz insignia. Now moving to the exterior aspect of the doors, we first find the slim integrated handles with the physical key lock. Above are two windows, the small quarter window being manually adjustable with the main window fixed in position. Moving up, there's a central antenna for the FM and AM radio, and behind, the outline of the indents created by the doors. If we quickly compare these to its modern successor, the SLS, we can see that these go further in than those on the SLS, because the SLS doors are longer to enable a shorter sill for easier ingress and egress. Behind are two small air vents. These appear to be permanently open, as I couldn't find a control inside to close them, but they are said to have been designed to not let water or direct drafts in, but can efficiently reduce interior window misting. Behind is a sloping rear window, which appears to be bigger than the front windscreen. Below we find continuations of the aero strips found at the front. I'm not sure if these do indeed help, but they certainly ensure a more consistent aesthetic. The humped sloping boot lid is behind and above these. It features Mercedes-Benz and 300 SL insignia towards the bottom, with a small lock at the very end. On each side we find a single brake and indicator light encased in a chrome housing. Below these is a more simplistic chrome bumper than the one found at the front, and below and to the left the single exhaust exit. Let's see how the car sounds. Now we've finished the exterior in-depth tour, we can move inside. The 300 SL comes with 3 keys: the ignition, doors and boot. The slim door handle with its moulded grip section must be depressed at the rear for it to be accessible. It can then be used to unlatch the door and pull it up. Once in their upright positions, the doors are self-supported by gas struts. The interior in this car is finished in a very classic style. Black leather with a tan wheel, chrome components and green-beige tartan seats, which was one of 3 original choices, along with blue-grey and red-green. The sill here is quite high to ensure the Gullwing doors don't have to be too big. However, this results in a rather awkward ingress and egress. There is a speaker to the sloping rear and lock port below of the otherwise uninterrupted sill. This runs up to a small grab handle, 2 air vents and the choke. Now sitting in the driver's seat and with the doors closed, we can more easily see the interior of the doors. They are upholstered in black leather and feature only a window latch above, a small fixed handle below and the unlocking mechanism at the bottom. To the left of the driver's seat we find the exposed metal handbrake. The very minimalistic steering wheel is ahead. To solve the car's accessibility issue, Mercedes fitted a folding steering wheel. The small latch is found to the rear with the indicator stalk and horn centrally. The various dials are 4 from left to right: fuel level, oil level, a red choke out warning light, the rev counter, a second warning light for the indicators, speedo with total mileage and mileage since reset, water temperature, and finally oil temperature. On the very slim dash above, we first find the rear view mirror in a significantly lower position than in modern cars. To its right is a small ashtray. The control array below is full of unlabelled buttons, but they are 4 from left to right: parking light switch, dash light switch, exterior light switch, Bemora ignition and wiper switch for the 2-speed wipers. Centrally we find the analog clock with further sliding ventilation controls to its left. Beyond these we find the passenger's horn, cigar lighter, red-tipped button for the heating and ventilation system, a thermometer which isn't stock, final vent controls and a second grab handle. Under the dash we see a second Tommy handle that opens a scuttle ventilator and exposed struts on the passenger side. Looking centrally we find the tall gear knob for the car's 4-speed manual transmission. The car is said to have quite a heavy clutch. On either side of the original, short bucket seats are upholstered in green and beige tartan, one of 3 classic options. They are manually adjustable with the controls found below. Behind is a fairly large interior storage space where fitted luggage can be stowed. Above are the vents we saw earlier during the exterior portion of the video. We can now move outside briefly to see the exterior storage space. The small cover can be moved aside easily to facilitate use of the key. With the boot lid up, we find a small prop stand. The boot has very little extra storage space with a spare wheel in place, but that is made up for by the extra space behind the seats. There is a hinge and bracket on each side with the spare wheel and toolkit found centrally, and fuel tank and jack to the right. The Gullwing is fitted with a very large 130 litre fuel tank, which further destabilised handling. The car returns an estimated combined MPG of 17. The leather toolkit is comprised of various tools to assist with removing and fitting wheels. Moving back inside briefly, we can take a look at the sun visors and main interior light, central, that needs to be turned on and off independently of the doors. So that concludes my exterior and interior in-depth tour of this 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing. Remember, this car is owned by EV Hire as part of their special chauffeur-driven division, so click the link in my bio for more information. Please subscribe for the latest content, and until next time, thanks for watching.